and watch this recording. So it is our back to school night, my very first virtual back to school night, so it'll be the best one I've ever done. I'll try to make it informative. I'll try to address any questions that you have, and I'll try to teach you as much as I can about our plans as they are today for our third graders. Okay. So, with this small group, as far as norms for the meeting go, if I'm going to go into a presentation, it's a little hard for me to see the participants while I'm presenting. If you do have a question, there's a little hand icon that you can click on, and that will alert me that you have a question, and I can jump back into the call. So feel free to raise your hand throughout the presentation, and we'll have some time at the end for me to answer any questions that you have, okay? Does that sound good? Okay. So I'll just start by saying that, remote learning certainly has its challenges. It's not ideal. It's not obviously the best way to teach elementary school. And I've had a few personal challenges with my own children. My kids have had trouble getting into meetings. I found my son was sending chats to my daughter in the next room during class. So, I have kind of a unique perspective as being on both ends of it with trying to guide my children through remote learning and also facilitating and teaching at the same time. So it's certainly been interesting. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start the slideshow here. All right, let's learn about third grade. Oh, I did put in some pictures of my family. This is my wife, Jill, and my two children, Corey and Adam. Corey's in fourth grade and Adam is in second grade. So it's kind of neat for me to have children at those ages because I kind of see what the second graders are doing, and I also see what the fourth graders are up to. And so, I kind of think I'm kind of bridging the gap from what, the classwork that my son is completing, and I see what my daughter is completing. So I try to, it gives me just a good frame of reference as far as, how much, how little, and how appropriate it is. So that's just a little bit about my family. Here's our schedule for remote learning. I've highlighted the times that we are meeting live currently. And this is the same way that you guys got into this meeting. You went through Microsoft Teams and you went to the calendar. You'll see that all of your child's times for live instruction are scheduled on the calendar. We are going to start working in some small groups starting soon. So during this 11:30 time, during math workshop, we're going to start some math groups very soon where we'll do some small groups and I'll be able to meet with students at least once a week during this time. We're also going to start some small groups at 1:20 during this language workshop time. So this is when I'm planning to do novel studies. Okay. So I kind of want to get a sense of, it's tough for kids to be on the computer for this number of hours each day. We've tried to break it up and give the kids breaks throughout the day. We are going to try to fold in a couple of more meeting times. So we're just going to have to kind of monitor how they do with that. But if you have any feedback for me, I'm certainly, wanting to get a sense of how things have been going on your end. Okay, specials, there's our special schedule. All of the specials can be accessed through students' calendars on Microsoft Teams. Just a couple of the guidelines for remote learning. Sorry, I exited my slideshow, so let me get back in there. Um, you know, it's so different with kids learning at home, and I've tried to talk to the class about, it's showing up. Yes, it's remote learning, but it's also showing up for class. So you want to try to, you know, find a quiet place. I've had kids showing up with some toys and some pets and siblings and things like that. And so we want to just try to reduce distractions as much as possible. Um, you know, there's been a significant amount of background noise that we do pick up on in class. So it is helpful to keep kids on mute, but just keep that in mind. That when kids go to share, and if there's a lot going on in the house, then that does come through on our video calls. Okay. Um, we've had a few kids turning cameras off during the video calls. Now, um, I'm not going to ask you guys. I know you guys are all adults here. I'm not going to ask you to turn your camera on, but in class, when we're working with kids, it does help me to just, it's hard enough with being remote, but at least if I can see, uh, just look at the child and kind of read the room, that helps me um, just kind of evaluate how things are going. And so I do ask kids to keep their cameras on during class. Now, if they need to use the restroom, it's not necessary for kids to ask you to leave. You can turn the camera off, use the restroom, but then, we want those cameras on during class just so we can see that the kids are following along, that they're tuned in, that they're participating. It does help. So just wanted to mention that to you guys. All right. Also in Microsoft Teams, the calendar is where your child will access all of their live sessions. And you can also watch recordings of our lessons by clicking on this Files tab here. So if you ever have, a day where your child can't attend one of those live sessions, they are all posted here under this Files tab. All right, I want to talk a little bit about Google Classroom. So I'm actually going to pull up Google Classroom just to show you a few things about it. All right, so from our learning page, if you click on this icon here, that'll take you into Google Classroom. You'll need to log in. The kids are learning how to do this, and they seem to be getting in there pretty well. But once you log into Google Classroom, this is kind of the landing page. But then if you click on this classwork tab at the top, you'll see each week I post a weekly calendar, which will just give you a week at a glance and kind of give you an overview of all the things that we're trying to accomplish in a given week. And then I have it organized by subject areas. So if you go down to writing, you see this week we're working on writing true stories. You click on this and it will give you some more information. So Tuesday, here's what we should do. Wednesday, so I try to keep this as user-friendly as possible so that kids can use this classwork tab of Google Classroom to guide them during their independent work times. There's also a few things that they can submit digitally through here. One of them is our math lessons all have a little online quick check that goes with them. We have Google Classroom synced up to our math curriculum so that all that they need to do is click on this. This will take them right into the quick check. It's only 5 questions, and that kind of helps me get a sense of, who needs extra help, how we're doing as a class. And so, doing that quick check, I might not put it up there every day, but, that's just something to be aware of, is that there are some things that need to be turned in through Google Classroom. As a parent, you can come in here and there's a tab for grades. If you click up on that, it'll show you all of the assignments that your child has submitted through Google Classroom, and you can find out if there are any that are incomplete. Okay. And I know that there's a lot going on for everyone at this time. We are going to try to be as flexible as possible. So that's partly why we have things organized with Friday kind of being primarily a catch-up day for our students to just circle back, look through the Google Classroom, and make sure that they've completed all of the assignments for the week. Okay, any questions so far? All right. It's so different with you guys not being here in the classroom. It's kind of strange. I'm a little nervous, I have to be honest with you. But we're doing fine. We're still just plugging along. So let's go back to the slideshow here. We talked a little about Google Classroom. Our school has, you guys are familiar with the ROAR code, which is, our positive behavior and support system that we have for students. These are the positive behaviors that we try to encourage in all students. This is a new at-home matrix that we've kind of adapted for remote learning. So I'll be sharing this with kids in the coming weeks and just talking about what the ROAR code looks like during remote learning. A couple of things that I'm doing to try to just encourage positive behaviors. I started doing digital cub pause. So I'm going to recognize at least 2 students each morning for something that I noticed throughout the day with a cub paw. And then I will put those names in a random drawing that I'll do on Fridays, and I'll hand out a prize each week that way. I'll put the prize with that student's supplies. That'll be passed out during our distribution days. So we're doing cub paws, also pride paws, which are the blue paws that we used to earn hard copy versions of. 30 pride paws equals a paw party. Our class is already up to 5 pride paws. Overall, our class is doing really well. They've been, super engaged, mostly, asking good questions, good participation so far. So once we reach 30 pride paws, we'll have to come up with a way to do some type of virtual paw party. So I've got a few ideas for what that might look like, but just know that there might come a day where things look a little silly and we might be doing something totally unusual and different, and I will let you know when we are having one of those paw party days. Okay? All right, I'm going to talk about each of the different areas of the curriculum, but before I do that, I just want to show you that I've kind of given you some notes because I'm going to give you a very abridged version. I'll forget to say a few things, I just know I will. So what I did is I put together a 3rd grade handbook where I've given you some more detailed notes about all of the different subject areas, and I've posted that on our learning page. Okay, so if you go to our learning page and you scroll down to teacher links, I just uploaded this evening. It's called Mr. P's 3rd grade handbook, and this will give you many more details about these different areas of the curriculum. So if you're really interested and you want to learn more about the different subject areas and how we teach, then click on this 3rd grade handbook. Okay, so that's just there because chances are likely that I will forget to say something about the curriculum. Our reading program is Reach for Reading. It's published by National Geographic. It's a really high interest reading program. It's got a lot of great nonfiction articles and great stories for students to read. So each week we will have a story from the Reach for Reading curriculum that we do as a class. It'll be out of that big anthology. And also we will use Accelerated Reader, where students have an AR goal that they will work towards over the semester, where they'll have a point goal. And we're going to have our library checkout going on where students can reserve books from the Werner Library. That's starting next week. So Mrs. Seavey is going to send out some information about that, but students will be able to reserve books from the Werner Library, and then we'll put those out for you guys to pick up on our distribution days. Okay, but Accelerated Reader is a great program, you know, to incentivize reading and help kids earn points as they read. So we'll be doing Accelerated Reader, we'll be doing our Reach for Reading curriculum, we'll also be doing some novel studies. So we do have a period of the day where some students will go to language workshop for additional support with reading, and during that time we'll do some small groups where we have book clubs and novel study activities. Our math curriculum is Envision Math. It's got a funny new name. It's called Savas Envision Math. It must have, the ownership must have changed, but it's still called Envision Math to us. We sent home the textbook. It's a great curriculum. It really forces students to be problem solvers. I love it. It kind of goes slow on purpose to really build a solid foundation for students and really help them gain a real deep understanding of the concepts. So, you know, we might show them 3 to 4 different ways of coming up with the answer, and that is really to help build number sense. It's shown that that'll really stick and last as far as a long-lasting number sense when we go slow and go deep. So I am a big fan of Envision Math. We're going to do tons and tons of work with multiplication and division this year as third graders. For writing, our primary resource is Lucy Calkins' Units of Study. Your kids have started a writer's notebook, and we're going to continue to add to that writer's notebook throughout the year. I love to help kids think of themselves as authors, and really to help them, you know, discover that writing can be fun, and it's a great opportunity for them to be creative and use their imagination and just become a storyteller. And so I really enjoy teaching writing, and I love helping kids learn that they can be writers too. Here's some of the units that we'll cover. Well, these are all the units, I should say. Some really fun writing activities that we will get to do as third graders. Spelling, as you know, we're using Spelling City during remote learning. You know, there's a weekly spelling list for students to learn. When we come back in person, chances are likely that we will do some paper and pencil spelling activities with patterns within words. But Spelling City will work nicely during this time of remote learning. Social studies in third grade, we are going to travel, and I'll use the quotation marks there because we have to pretend that we're traveling across the country, and we're going to learn all about different landmarks and different natural features and all kinds of amazing things throughout our country. So we'll learn all about the different regions of the United States in social studies. We learn how to think like historians and geographers, political scientists, and economists. So social studies is going to be a lot of fun in third grade. These are the units that we are going to cover in science. Now I have to stop here because I have to be honest, I've gone through like 10 slides and I haven't checked in with you guys. Is everyone doing okay? Okay, good, thank you. It's so strange. Usually if I was presenting to kids, I would do 1 or 2 slides and come back. And this is where I would like to see the cameras on because I see that you're right there. You're still, hi, got the waving going on. That helps me keep going, so thank you. Everyone seems to be doing well, so we'll just keep going. Here's science. Okay, these are the units that we will cover. We use mystery science, which is super engaging. Um, we're trying to do our best thinking about how we can put materials in your hands to try to do some hands-on science at home. We know that there's challenges there, but as a team, we're trying to identify some science experiences that we could do during this time of remote learning. So, again, I know it's inconvenient to ask you guys to come by the school for time to pick up supplies, but we're not going to do it every Friday. Um, but there will be a couple of days during remote learning where we ask you to come by the school just to pick up a few things, and that'll be a chance for you to turn in your students' work as well. Okay. So anyway, I started rambling there. But what I was trying to say is mystery science is really great for remote learning. It's got a lot of great videos, but we want the kids to do hands-on science as well. So it is a challenge during remote learning, but we're going to try to get those materials out to you and try to do the best we can with making science hands-on during remote learning. Okay, we have a brand new report card this year. This will be the first year that we use the new report card. So we're no longer using S's, E's to report on student progress. There's a new rating scale, and so achievement will be scored on a 4-3-2-1 scale. Effort will be scored, and personal development will be scored on a 3-2-1 scale. And one interesting thing about the report card is there is no separate category for spelling. So what we're going to do is spelling will just kind of be factored into written expression. So that's a big change for us as teachers. For the explanation of marks, really for a 4 is just exceeding expectations, and here's a little chart that kind of shows what that means. So just wanted to give you a little heads up that the report card will look a little different this year. You won't see S's and E's, you'll see 4s and 3s. I'll send out some more information about what this means, but basically, think of a 3 as kind of you're meeting the expectations, you're showing that you are have a complete and correct understanding of the concepts or the ability to perform the skills as articulated in the standards. So a 3 is like you are right on target, right where you need to be. So we're shooting for 3s. Okay, it's not a fun topic and not a popular topic, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about assessment. Or should we just skip that part? We can go to the next. Should we do this assessment part? Okay, I guess we should do it. Okay. It's not everyone's favorite topic, but I did want to give you some information about the assessments that we have for 3rd graders. Okay. Acadience reading is formerly known as Dibbles. So this is what we were working on last week when I was meeting with students one-on-one. We've all completed this. This is mainly just a screening tool for us to identify students who may need extra support with reading. So we've all finished this. We'll do it again mid-year, and we'll do this again at the end of the year. So we do this one 3 times a year. Okay. Now, star reading in math is really super useful for us as teachers because star reading helps us identify students' reading levels. So when I'm trying to set up my novel studies and book clubs, I look at the star reading data to know which books are just right for your children. So it helps us learn about their independent reading levels, their instructional reading levels. This is a super useful tool for us as teachers. Same thing with star math. Okay, so these are the assessments that are super useful for us as teachers. These are the ones that will really guide our instruction this year. Okay. We'll do star reading and star math. We're trying to get this done. This is where we had the little issue today where the password I didn't click on something apparently and it didn't work correctly, but we kind of worked through that. We're in the process of trying to get star reading and star math finished up at this time. Okay. Now, not next week, but the following week of the I think it's the 21st, we've got to tackle this MAPS testing. Okay. This is a required piece by the school district. Students only have to do it twice a year. But we are going to need your help with this. So I will be sending out more information about MAPS testing. It's one of those tests where I will have to stay online and proctor the test. So I will be available for kids who, run into any issues there with technology. But, this one, it's a 2-part test. It's 1 part reading and 1 part math. It's going to take us 2 mornings to complete this. And so I just want to put that on your radar that, this is going to be one where it's a slightly longer test than star reading and math. It takes, just a little bit more time, but we're going to have to just do our very best. And I will send out more information about MAPS testing soon. Now, 3rd grade in a normal environment would be the first year that students would take the state assessment, which is called CMAS, or Colorado Measures of Academic Success. This is the state level test. Last spring, this was canceled due to the current situation. We are not sure if students will be required to take this or not. So we're still waiting to hear about that. Okay. A couple of last things that I wanted to mention to you guys is you heard me mention the distribution and drop-off days. The first one that we're planning is going to be for Friday, September the 18th. Okay, and this is mainly so that I can get some novels out to students so we can start our book clubs and a couple of other things. I'll try to see about some science materials that we can pass out during this day as well. And we'll also ask you guys to turn in those blue plastic folders where students have been collecting their completed assignments. Okay, so really there'll be a table set out outside my classroom door, and you can drop by anytime between 9 and 3. You just walk up, come to the outside door. You'll see a table set up. There'll be a box for you to turn in the blue plastic folders, and all of the materials will be laid out on the table for you. Now, if you're unable to come during that time, then we'll figure out another way to get these things to you. I have to check with Mr. Camp, but you could probably come on Monday morning, the next Monday morning before school begins, and you would just go to the Werner office to pick these things up, okay? So I just want to put that on your radar that we are planning to do our first distribution and drop-off day on Friday, September the 18th. Okay, one other thing. I feel like I'm talking super fast. Are we still doing okay? Coming back in here. All right, good. One more thing that I wanted to start, I kind of noticed that one big missing piece to remote learning is that the kids really don't have a great opportunity to socialize. There's not a lunch period where they're all in the cafeteria. There's not recess on the playground. So I tried to think about what can we do to just give kids an opportunity just to hang out with each other and just socialize. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start up some friendship groups on Fridays after our morning meetings, just for kids to kind of hang out, chat, talk, connect with one another. I will be on the meeting, but I'm just going to turn off my camera and kind of hang out in the background, and I'm going to, just let them, just have some friendship time, have some time to just be with one another and just chat about whatever it is that they would like to talk about. If they're running out of things to say, I could give them like a little prompt, if necessary, just to kind of facilitate that. But I think that will be nice for kids to just have some time just to hang out with friends during this remote learning period. Okay? So look for some more information about that. We'll be starting that up real soon. Same with volunteers. It's a little tricky to do volunteers during remote learning, but I've got a couple of good ideas, and I will be sending out more information about how we can get volunteers involved during remote learning. Okay, I did a lot of talking. Now it's time for you guys. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask.
I was just curious, with the friendship groups, I think that's an awesome idea. Will that be the same time every Friday, or does that kind of vary depending on, will the groups stay the same, or will they kind of change it, and then will that time change?
That's a great question. So I have a lot of meetings that I need to be in on Fridays, so I'm really looking at about an hour, like a window of about 1 hour or so. So if we have 20 students in the class, if I did 4 groups, 5 students in each group, 15 minutes a piece, I'm just going to see how much time I have available, but it would probably be directly after our morning meeting. So we're looking at probably 9:15 to 10:15, somewhere in that window. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right. Chris, go ahead. Do you have a question?
I do.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
A lot of good information. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. You clicked on the hand, so I see it gives me a little alert that your hand is up. It's kind of a neat feature that we have here on Microsoft Teams. If you accidentally click the little hand icon, then that raises your hand. So
The Hines family has a question.
Yep.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question on drop-off day on next Friday.
Sure.
I don't have Samantha all week, and I don't ever have her on Thursday and Friday. Is there going to be a list so I know from my end after Wednesday that I have everything in the folder that she needs from my sessions with her?
Yes, that's a good question. I was going to send out a little checklist of items to put in the blue folder before the distribution day. Okay, and you know, I don't want to cause any more stress, and if there's something that's tough to locate, then try not to worry too much about it. But I will provide a list of things to put in the blue folder for the drop-off day. Okay, I won't ask kids to tear out any pages out of the math journal. I won't ask kids to turn in their writer's notebooks, but any of the handouts that we've been completing from the folders that we provided, as those get finished up, you should go ahead and just tuck those in the blue plastic folder. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions? Okay, go ahead.
I was just curious, for a normal, I don't know what normal is anymore, but for a normal school year, in person for third grade, how many recess sessions do they usually get?
In person, we would normally have 3 recess periods. Okay, we would have a morning recess, a lunch recess, and an afternoon recess.
I was just curious. I know Aubrey's a pretty active kiddo, so the thing that we've been struggling with is just having enough time for her to get up and get moving and get some energy out. So I was trying to think of ways to get more of that in her day, but I feel like it's going pretty quickly, and it's hard to get those times in just for us and our family. So
No, I understand. That is kind of been a challenge for us, is that we're in a way, we've been asked to replicate a school day for these kids. Okay, and we're trying our very best to provide that live time for instruction. But then you got like a 30-minute live session, and then there's a task to complete and also take a break during that time. So I do understand that. What I would say is, during a Monday through Thursday, getting a break, it is important for kids to have a break from the screen time and also a chance to get some energy out. That's kind of, you know, that's kind of why we have Friday as just a catch-up day for them to, I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure on, it has to be done by the next day. It needs to be done by the next day, but really more at a week at a time kind of deal where, if you can't get to it today, like put it up, put it on the back burner until Friday, and then just try to get it done, before the end of the week. So I'd encourage you to take her outside and let her run around between live sessions, if you can.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, go ahead. We've got a few hands up. Feel free. We've got a small enough group where you can just go ahead and shout them out.
Hey, Mr. Putman, it's Amy Riley's mom here. Are you going to have a chance to review their writing logs? Is that something that we'll also turn in?
The writer's notebook?
Yeah.
The writer's notebook, I do look at it every once in a while, but we want the kids to have a little freedom in there to make mistakes.
Sure.
And so, there will be times where we have like an on-demand piece where, if we were in person, we would teach a unit, they'd work in the writer's notebook, and then there would be an on-demand writing piece where they would have, like one sitting type of, let's turn it in on a separate sheet of paper, and that's what I would look at. We don't want we want them to feel free to write in that writer's notebook, so I don't like to mark it up with a red pen.
Sure.
But there will be times where we have writing assignments that they turn in, and those are the ones that I'll take kind of a closer look at as far as assessment goes.
Okay. I just see with the little pod that we have, different abilities as far, and also what you should correct and shouldn't correct as far as spelling, as far as run-on sentences, as far, all sorts of things in there. And so far I've just kind of let them go with it, but there is kind of a wide range there, not necessarily even in content, and so I just was wondering, should we be correcting those types of things or just kind of let it be for now?
We're going to start asking the kids to do some self-correction. Okay. And really taking a careful look at their own work. One thing that you'll find in that reading and writing handouts folder is a checklist for writers. And so the next couple of lessons coming up, we have a few lessons coming up soon where we'll really study that checklist and then take a hard look at our own work. So we're going to really encourage the kids to kind of do some self-evaluation and really take a hard look at their own work. And we'll teach them more about the expectations that are on that checklist as we go.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So I hope that answered your question. We don't want to overcorrect in the writer's notebook because we want them to think of themselves as writers, and we don't want to take away any confidence there. There will be certain times where we ask them to write and turn it in as an on-demand piece, and those are the ones that I'm going to really look at and say, hey, let's make the corrections on this and that.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yep, good question. All right, are there any other questions? Well, thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really, like I said, I wasn't sure what to expect when we started this adventure with remote learning, but so far I've been pleasantly surprised. It's been so fun to see the kids each morning. They're just so full of energy and excitement and enthusiasm. I'm trying to make it as fun as possible. It's just going to be a wild ride. So thanks Just put someone, it's got some background noise. But just thank you all for your support. You know, I do take this work very seriously, and I try my best to always improve and get better at what I do. So I'm always, you know, open to feedback and suggestions. I'm always trying to think about a better way to do things and a way to make it more engaging and more meaningful for kids. So I will do my very best this year to just make it a successful school year. Hopefully, this will all calm down soon and we'll be able to come back in the building and get back to some sense of normalcy. So thanks again for joining me this evening. And if anything pops up, any questions or anything else that we didn't have a chance to cover, then feel free to reach out and let me know about it. And I'm here to help you guys with anything that I can. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.